All right, on the back, I had you cross out 7A and B, and I asked you to change the problem on number 6 to something more simple that's more like the test. So I hope you went ahead and changed this. So use the determinant to find the number of zeros and describe their nature. So we're starting with, please get me A, B, and C. A, invisible 1, comes from right here in front of the x squared. B, -2, and C, -8. Now let's do the discriminant work. The discriminant is one small part of the quadratic. B squared would be -2 squared minus 4 times 1 times -8. Where did this come from? This 1 plugged in right here. This -2 plugged in right here. And this 8 plugged in right here. When we simplify this, we get +4 plus 32, which is a positive value of 36. Now recall that if my determinant is a positive number, there are 2 real roots. If my determinant is negative, there are no real roots. If my determinant is 0, there's 1 real root. Okay, let's go get the x-intercepts for this function then. I'm going to set this original function equal to 0. And I'm going to try the first method. Can it be factored? If it can't be factored, I'll move on to other methods. But what times what equals -8? Okay, maybe 4 and 2. Which one gets the negative? So if it's factorable, x minus 4, x plus 2, it's going to make this easier to solve and get the x-intercepts. By zero product property, if this product equals 0, I can now solve each factor and set each one equal to 0. I'm going to get x equals 4 and x equals -2. Now those are my solutions, my roots, but they asked me for the x-intercepts, so I have to write my final answer in intercept form. My final answer is 4, 0, -2, 0. There are my x-intercepts. The whole enchilada. Okay, write in vertex form. So step 1, make space. I'm bumping that -8 over. Step 2, B work. -2 over 2 squared is -1 squared is just 1. I'm going to add 1 and subtract 1 to balance. That makes the x minus 1 squared perfect, minus 9. There's my vertex form. So what's my vertex? It's right there and right there. So my vertex is +1, -9. My line of symmetry is the middle of the 2 roots, my average of the roots. So I'm going to go over and get those numbers. I'm going to take the first root, x1, add the second root, and divide by 2. So 4 plus -2 is 2 is 1. My line of symmetry is x equals +1. And in fact, without even doing that work, didn't I already know that if I knew the vertex? Last, my y-intercept is anytime I want the y-intercept, it's when x is 0. So plug in 0 for x. So what is 0 squared? Well, that's just 0. 2 times 0 and minus 8. My f of 0 is -8. So 0, -8 is my y-intercept. So now I've done all this work on the parabola, on the function, and now they're asking me to graph it. So let's go put these points of interest on there. First, I'm going to go put 0, -8. There's my y-intercept from right there. Next, I'm going to go put the 2 x-intercepts. The x-intercepts are at 4, 0 and negative 2, 0. That's these guys right here. And then my vertex is at 1, negative 9. And if this point exists here, I know there's also a symmetrical one on the other side, equidistant from it. So you can add that one in or not. Go ahead and connect your graph. Oh, I am always so bad at this on my stylus. Sorry about that, guys. Sorry. How's this looking? Final part of my parabola. We always want you to draw in that line of symmetry straight through x equals 1 and label it as your line of symmetry. My graph is already labeled and scaled, so we're good. How'd you do on that section? Okay, let's go down and solve with the 3 methods and be done with this. So step 1, solve by factoring. What times what is negative 96 and adds up to 4? Let's see. So 3 goes in, actually it's going to be 8 goes in once, twice. Oh, there it is, 8 and 12 makes 96. Okay, which one's going to get the negative then? You got it. And now we write out those factors. G minus 8, G plus 12 equals 0. And they want us to solve. So by zero product property, I write each piece. And first I get that G equals 8. For the second one, I get G equals negative 12. How'd you do? All right, that's the solve by factoring method. Let's go do the complete the square. All right, first of all, I prefer the 0 on the other side. Step 1, make space, is to bump over that 24, and to do that I moved the 0 to the other side. Step 2, B work. Means I'm going to add 16 and subtract 16 to balance. This makes the m minus 4 squared factors for this perfect square trinomial right here. And 24 minus 16 is just 8. Now, that's vertex form, but I want to keep going and solve. So let's move the 8 over. Uh-oh, I got a negative coming. This should be interesting. So now that I've isolated the m minus 4 squared factors, I am going to square root both sides. What the heck is the square root of negative 8? All right, we got a negative 1. 2 times 2 times 2. The square root of negative 1 is I. A pair of 2's means a 2 comes out. All right, this guy right here simplifies down to this guy right here. So over here I'm going to put plus or minus 2i root 2. My last step is to add the 4 to both sides, and I get 4 plus or minus 2i root 2. And what is that when I have a negative discriminant like that? That is my 2 complex roots, or my 2 non-real roots. That one was exciting. How'd you do on that one? Got a little negative under there. Okay, last but not least, if nothing else works, we can use the formula. Get me ABC. Pause the video, write the formula. How'd you do? Did you get x equals negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a? Good job. You need to memorize that for Thursday's test. Okay, go ahead and pause the video, plug those in, see how far you can go. All right, negative 14, negative 14 squared, 4 times A times C, 2 times A, positive 14 over 6, 196 minus 12 times 9. Is that 144? No. 108? Really? Is this a root 88? All right. Keep going with the simplification. A root 88 breaks down into 8 times 11, or 2 times 2 times 2 times 11. So a 2 comes out and a 22 stays under. And remember, you can leave it as one happy fraction or split it up like this. Final answer, 2 goes into everything, is 7/3 plus or minus root 22 over 3. How did you do? Okay, this is definitely a good one to keep practicing and practicing until you get it for the test. Simplifying at the end, oops, is good practice. Okay, so what's the other acceptable answer for this one if you didn't split it up? It would be 7 plus or minus root 22 over 3 as one happy fraction like that. Okay, homework done.